So today's session is kind of a follow-on session to the last couple webinars that we've had. The first webinar was surrounding our manufacturing solution, kind of, using discrete manufacturing. That webinar I do every Wednesday at 10 o'clock Central Time. So if you're interested in joining me tomorrow, by all means register on our website and join it. If you can't find the registration, please email me and I can get you a link to it. And then last week we did a session on make-to-order and the functionality of the make-to-order product and how easy it is to link sales orders and multiple level bills of material and long lead purchases and those types of things all together. So today we're going to be covering outsourcing, which was a question that got asked during the Q&A session last week, and obviously most make-to-order manufacturers have some kind of outsourcing. So I'll be covering that today. This is me. If you need to get a hold of me, this is my email address, and you're more than welcome to check out Produmex.com and see what's new and happening there. I encourage you to follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, as we post up webinar links there and tips and tricks and those types of things quite often. Produmex ourselves, we were founded in 2004, and we're headquartered in Perk, which is near Brussels, Belgium. And the picture at the beginning of the session with the castle is actually, we rent some space there for our head office, and as I said, it's just outside Brussels. We have bricks and mortar operations also in Atlanta, Georgia, and Budapest, Hungary. And we're part of a larger organization called Mobilitas. So Mobilitas, their main focus is the SAP ECC, or the R3, the large SAP. And we have headquarters in Mannheim, Germany, and we also have operating office in Columbia, Maryland. So that's our kind of the larger company of Produmex, our parent, and we're a division of Mobilitas, being the Produmex arm, and we focus on the SAP Business One practice. We have a sister company, and I say sister company because Mobilitas has partnered with Keystone Capital, and Keystone Capital is our venture capital group kind of backing us, and they wanted to invest in supply chain and logistics and traceability and those types of things. So with that, they invested in Mobilitas, and they also invested in Peak Risics, and Peak Risics is into hardware for supply chain. So they look after scanners and printers and labels and all of that stuff that our software uses and produces. So Keystone Capital themselves are interested in investing in kind of long-term growth and are a really good partner for both Mobilitas and Peak Risics. Produmex ourselves, we're 100% focused on SAP Business One, and our goal is shop floor to top floor integration. So when something happens, we want that event to be updated in Business One. And we focused originally on a PDMX suite, and I'll be covering a product offering slide here in a second. Our PDMX suite is for warehouse management, and in November 2015, Produmex entered into discussions with a company called Veriatech, and Veriatech had BX software, and we became the exclusive distributor in November 2015, as many of you know, and we now are actually the owners of the intellectual property of BX software, and our development team is managing the roadmaps and support and development of the BX software now. We're a global SAP SSP, so that being said, I'm based out of Stonewall, Manitoba, Canada, just outside Winnipeg, and we have resources in most time zones in the world, and we work with about 40 SAP Business One partners worldwide on kind of a day-to-day basis. This is our product offering as of right now. So you can see we focus on two areas of extending out Business One. One is production and the other is warehouse capabilities. And then we kind of break things into kind of advanced and entry level as far as the offerings. So the BX software is what I focus on. So I focus on the Mobile Warehouse 9. I have a webinar every Tuesday on this product. the mobile worker, which is a new product coming out in 2017. We're going to be launching it. There are some links on the YouTube channel as far as how it works, and if you want to see a demo or if you have a prospect, get a hold of me and we can talk about getting everything lined up with it. Our PDMX production and PDMX WMS are kind of the same product. It's just we have capabilities for production and outsourcing within the PDMX product as well. And then our BX manufacturing, or BX core, make to order, mobile PDC, mobile QC. So this is what we're focusing on today. So last week I spent a lot of time talking about multi-dimensional planning. So what we do is we take MRP and make to order, and we look at things like lead times, we look at capacity, and all those different types of things. So I won't spend a lot of time on that today because, you know, we did another webinar on that. If you are interested in more of the concepts of this, get a hold of me and I can kind of help you out with that. But essentially, most manufacturing organizations have a whole bunch of steps and materials and components and sub-assemblies and different types of things that are happening in order to get a product made and out the door. And some of those might have capacity, some of those might have large investments, so you want to maximize capacity on them. Other things might be work centers where you need a skilled labor in order to do work, or you might need a tool like a jig or a mold or a special CNC die or bits or something like that in order to do the work. That has a capacity to itself as well. So we handle all these multidimensional concepts, and it's important to note that you can have many-to-one, one-to-one, or many-to-many-to-many relationships of the operations to features to work centers to employees to tools. So all of this stuff correlates together when we're running MRP and our scheduling and our planning in order to kind of give you available to promise dates. So I invite you to watch the other videos or join me in future webinars to look at that, or if you have specific questions, get a hold of me and I can help you out with that. So how we do all of that is through extending out the SAP bill of material, which then leads to the production order, and we've added a few things into it. And I'll be jumping into the production order and bill of material to show you some of this. But it's important to note that we've added a row type, and these row types are materials, operations, byproducts, costs, phantoms, outsourced items, materials going in and out, and internal manufacturing. So you can see here that I have operations, I have supplier materials that are going out, you know, supplier materials that come back, all these different types of steps and operations. And then within the operations, we have the ability to capture before times and run times for job, and then after times. And then we can decide if we want to run things parallel or overlap them. And then we can tie all of that into a feature, which then ties into work centers and tools and schedules. So you can see here, you know, all of that stuff kind of ties together. And as I said, I'll jump into that briefly, but I really want to focus on the outsourcing piece today. We have the ability to really control costs and look at costs. We have the ability to define different price lists. So again, our session last week covered a lot of this. Our MRP extends out into looking at the multidimensional planning, and will give you warnings if there's issues with capacities, and it also shows you the recommendation here and ties it directly into the item and showing you the demand of what that is. We have a easy-to-use graphical scheduling panel, which is fully automated, semi-automatic, or fully manual. And you can see here this example where there's some push pins. This is where humans intervened and actually made this operation here manual and has locked it in to a certain period of time within a work center. And we can plan at work center, tool, or employee level. We can plan, and you can see that the system is going to drop everything in automatically based off of the logic and rules that are set up. So again, if you're interested in more of this, reach out to me. Go check out our YouTube channel and you'll see some of this in action. This is just showing you the relationship between the production order, the feature, the work centers, and then the work centers having a calendar or shift tied to it all. And then this is what we're going to focus on today, is the outsourcing operations and how all of the outsourcing operations kind of tie together into one area where we can issue purchase orders. And then I'm going to get a little bit deeper into actual material management, where we need to transfer materials out, receive the finished goods back in, and also do a goods receipt purchase order of the items. And you can see here, it'll keep track of our quantities received, and it's going to update our production orders and purchase orders accordingly. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into the system here and show you how all of this works. So I have a couple of examples put together here, and the first example that I want to show you is the make-to-order concept. So this is our item here, this P1002 item, and this is our bill of material for it. And you can see here that this has an outsourced operation on it, and then you can see that this item is a subassembly, which has a subassembly, which has a subassembly. So all of these production orders need to be made and tied together and scheduled as far as relationships to pull them all together. So we have this item. In the make-to-order session last week, I showed how we can calculate a selling price here, so I'm not going to focus on that. What I'm going to show you is the first thing, which is we can go in and do our make-to-order planning here. And when we do our make-to-order planning, again, we can do this by a sales order, or we can go in and we can run our MRP and we can run a make-to-order scenario and pull in different selection criteria based off of dates or items that you're making or customers or project numbers in order to group all of your planning together. So right now we're just looking at this one order because I did it right from the sales order, and I'm going to add this now, and it's going to go out and it's going to look at the bill of material and all of the sub-assemblies as well, and it's going to look at the item master here, and it's going to look at whether or not that item master is flagged with a make-to-order flag here. You can see here this make-to-order flag. So if the item's flagged with make-to-order, it's going to show up in our criteria here. So you can see that these items all are items that are make-to-order that we need to make. And then you can also see that this item here, this neoprene seal, is an item that we need to buy. It's pulling in my default vendor from it. It's showing me the lead time for that item. And it's dropping everything into a proposed plan here as far as when we need to make the final assembly and then when we need everything kind of pulled together. So you can see here, based off of the lead time, it's recommending that I release this purchase order on 12/15. And it's pulled in my pricing based off of purchase price lists and all of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to execute this, and I'm going to create my production orders here. And it created 4 production orders and 1 purchase order. And on our sales order itself, what's happening now is it's dropping all of that into the schedule and plan. It would give me any warnings if there was any warnings with issues on that. And we can go now into the sales order here, and we can actually see all of the different statuses of everything. So if I go into the make-to-order procurement order screen here, you can see here that we have our production orders, we have our purchase orders with 2 lines broken out by dates here. And the reason that there's 2 lines, if you watched last week's webinar, is that the neoprene seal is used on this item and it's also used on this item. So it's pulling in the demand for both of those orders and breaking it out according to when you're actually going to need those items. And over here you can actually see all of the different dates and the parent production order recommendations. Everything's all linked here. So as a salesperson, I don't even have to go anywhere because I can see the status of, is the order created? Is it planned? Is it open? What's going on? So that's kind of the first thing that a lot of make-to-order organizations need to do, is purchase long lead items and give sales visibility into the status of everything. Now, the next thing that happens is I click this manage, And this manage allows me to go in and release these production orders. And I can do forward or backward planning here. So I can do forward from preferred work centers. I can do forward from the earliest date possible. And I can also just let it do backwards. So, just-in-time manufacturing. Here it's showing me the dates of when we could begin and finish. And all this information is kind of pulling in for me to do everything all in one spot. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to release these work orders. So we're going to release the work orders. And I'm going to recalculate this, and it's going to drop these into the schedule. If there's any capacity issues, it would give me a warning here. This one, we don't have any capacity issues. And here's the first thing that we're going to do with the actual outsourcing topic, which is what today's session is. And that is, if you remember, this item here has an outsourced operation. So if we open up this outsourced operation, you can see here that we have an outsourcing tab, and we have a couple different vendors that we can actually buy this from. We can set up lead times, and here, how many quantity do we need to make. And from here, we can basically go in and, see exactly kind of the plan behind this bill of materials. So that's kind of the first step, is showing you this operation that's outsourced, and we have a couple different vendors that we can buy it. Now there's a setting in BX that allows me to go in and do what I'm going to do automatically when you release the production order. So just know that I'm going in kind of the long way, but there is a setting that when I release a production order, I could do this automatically. And what I'm doing right now is I'm going into the production order and into the operation here. And I'm going to click on outsourcing. And from here, I can make a purchase order or a purchase quotation. And I'm just going to make the purchase order here. And what it does is it says, this is the material that you need, and you're going to send out, and this is the material that's going to come back. And this is what you're buying from the vendors. You're buying a milling to drawing or a heat treat or whatever it is that's outsourced operation. So you send an item out as this, and it comes back as this, and that operation, we cut the purchase order, and away it goes. So for most companies that do outsourcing, that is good enough. We have this purchase order, and then that purchase order, we can go in and we can receive it back, and that is good enough. Some other companies that do outsourcing require to do the material management of moving those items back and forth. So there's a few things that I'm going to show you now that we kind of have pulled all this together, and that is, we're going to go in and we're going to look at another production order, because this one I've just showed you that basically you can manufacture everything, you can make your production order, and basically the material management we're not going to worry about. Sending the items back and forth, we're not going to worry about. Now I've done over here in a production order on another sales order. I'm just going to show you before we go into that one, though. If I just update this from a sales perspective, I can actually see that these orders are released now, and these are the dates that the work's going to begin. All that information is available to me without walking the floor, and everything's kind of linked together. So if you go into the relationship map here, you can see the production orders and the statuses of them, and you can see the plan dates, and you can see that it's also staggered those dates, just like you saw on the grid here. It's staggered the dates out on all of that. So I'm going to go to another sales order, and this item, I'm going to open up the bill of material and explain the bill of material here, and this will kind of build upon the material management side of things. So this item is unique. We take some bar and we lathe it, and then we cut it, and then that kind of makes this unfinished product of this track. And then that track's going to go in and out. So you can see here that I have an unfinished product and an unfinished material and an unfinished product. That you can see this goes in and out. And then we have this outsourcing step here, heat treat. So when we see this happen within the production order, I'm going to show you we've already issued the purchase order to the vendor. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do material management, because that's the next thing, as far as outsourcing that a lot of companies want to do, is they want to manage the materials. So I want to transfer the materials to the vendor, and then I want to receive the materials back. And I'm going to show you how all of that works now. So I'll just pause, and if you like, you can just kind of type in the chat if there's any questions about the make to order before I kind of move forward onto the outsourcing material management. Okay, I don't see anything coming into the chat, so I'm going to continue down the road here. So I'm going to look at the MTO procurement orders on this particular sales order, and you can see here that I have a production order. And this production order is a single production order, and you'll see here that this is that bill of material that I just showed you. But you'll also notice here that we've already issued components, and this item is ready for us to do the material management. If I click on the operation here, I've already executed the purchase order on this. So you can see here that I have, let's make the purchase order here. So I'm going to make the purchase order for this one. You can see that track's going out, and then the main product is coming back. You see that? So we have this purchase order, $475, and what we need to do now is we've cut the purchase order, and I've actually done the work on this. So if I show you here, I'll just show you, if we go in and look at my operation sequence diagram, I'll just show you that I've finished these two operations here, and that I'm kind of ready for this material management step here. So you see these are 100% complete. So I'm ready to send out my items, and we've cut the purchase order, and everything's ready to go. So now we need to do material management. So not all companies that do outsourcing want to manage materials, but the ones that do, this becomes really important. So if we go into modules, production, and if we go into inventory management for outsourcing, we have a grid here. And what this grid allows us to do is call up that purchase order number, or the vendor that we're sending items out to. And it pulls in all the information here, the production order number, the operation ID, which I talked about last week, because this will actually get dropped into the schedule and becomes a relationship that's tied to everything. And at this point in time, what I want to do is I want to transfer those materials over to the vendor. So you can see here that I'm going to transfer the materials to this vendor, and I'm going to hit update here. And what it's going to do is it's going to do a stock transfer, and you can choose what warehouses you wanted to transfer this in and out of. So you could have vendor managed warehouses, and you can keep track of it. I'll just do it to the 01 warehouse, but you could have this default to different warehouses as well. And when I hit update, this gives me a warning. And here what's happened is that it's done a stock transfer. And then I have this nice little, and I say nice being sarcastic, I have this nice little crystal report, which is my stock transfer crystal report, which is going to say that I'm sending this item to Blockies. So, and you can see here that it's a inventory transfer. So if we go into business one, what's happened is we've actually sent that to Blockies. And it captured it, and it says, hey, it went to this outsourced warehouse. So you can see here that it's captured that information. It shows me the purchase order that it's tied to. All that information is kind of tied all together. So now if we go back into this inventory management, what's going to happen next is the materials are going to come back. So they're going to deliver the material back to us here. And I'm going to just say that we received the finished product and the goods receipt. And I'm going to hit update here. And I can enter the quantity that we've received here. And now if we go over and look at our production order, let's just go here, we'll go back to the sales order. You can see that I have a completed quantity now, and I'll show you what's happened. The items went out and back in, and our operation completed on our outsourced operation, and it backflushed out all of my backflush items and my manually issued items there. We've done a receipt from production for one here, and it's done all of my costing and variance automatically for me. So all of that happened from me doing that outsource management. So you can see here, you know, the inventory postings, everything is, you know, tracked and pulled together. If we go and look at the outsourced operation here and look at the purchase order here, the purchase order should be closed with a goods receipt PO here. There's my goods receipt PO that I received back, that heat treat item, and everything's linked to the production, the purchase order, and also to the production order. Now, there's a few other things that we can do with our outsourcing operations, and I'm just going to show you here in Business One what those are. When we have these operations set up, we can have a step in between this so that it doesn't do that receipt from production, where we would actually do an inspection. And that inspection step would allow us to have like a parameter set up. And then we could do a outsourced operation that would, sorry, I'm just clicking in the wrong spot there. It's showing me the inventory posting from that vendor. Let's just go back a step here and I'll just show you on this one. So when we have these outsourced operations, we can actually set up parameters here for us to quality inspect them after they come in, and then from the shop floor we could actually do the inspection and quarantine them and, you know, put them into rejected warehouses and those types of things. Now all of that's kind of covered off here. This is our outsourcing document, and this is why it's important for us to have these separate little topics, because BX Manufacturing is a fairly robust product, but you can see here that there's 23 pages of documentation on managing and setting up and doing the PDC and all those different types of things within the shop floor data collection. But essentially, this is what can happen is that you can go in and you can do a outsourced quality inspection, and you can check things like thicknesses and weights and those types of things, and set values and either make them good, rejected, or repairable, and then you can keep track of it up here as far as what's happening behind all of it. So that concludes today's session on outsourcing. So really there's two main concepts that I wanted to cover with you. The first concept is that some companies just want to be able to issue a purchase order to outsource people, and then other people need to manage inventory, so they need to manage items going in and out and keeping track of all of that information. So I'm going to stop recording now, and I'm going to